I'm back for another flight test of another of the great RC aeroplanes in FMS's series of high wing trainers. You will recall that we recently reviewed the 1.4 m Kingfisher, which is a tail dragger, and a little smaller than this Ranger, which is 1.8 meters and has a tricycle undercarriage. So steerable nose wheel on this, but particular attention paid by the FMS design team to make sure that that nose gear is very robust and strong, because these tricycle undercarriage, then that nose gear will take a lot of punishment on takeoff and landing. So this is plug and play. We'll have to add our own receiver and flight battery, have our own transmitter, but everything else is in the box. So all the servos, speed controller, motor, propeller are all in the box, ready, and there should be very little for us to do to assemble this. Certainly not what I call building. This will just bolt together very quickly. So let's not hang around, let's take the components out of the box, let's see what we get. Take the carton out of the box, and this is what you see. This polystyrene foam carton inside protects all the components, and all you can see on top is one wing half actually. So very well protected, no chance of any damage while it's in transit to your door. Okay, so unboxed and got all the components on the table. Let's have a look. So access to the battery compartment through there, catch at the front, not easy to do one-handed while I hold a camera, but you can see in here that we have the strap for the battery. You can see we got the nose gear steering servo down there, speed controller in place, as is the motor. We got Velcro to hold our battery in place should we need that. And then we've got the Reflex version 2 stabilization system and all the leads coming out that will plug into our receiver. Simple. Obviously you can see in the sides that no servo connections that we have to play around with when we slide on the wings with the spar. It just plugs in automatically, and then 2 screws to hold in place. So flaps and ailerons, servos are in place and already hooked up to the control surfaces. Moving to the back, we've got the servo in place for the elevator, I would guess that is, and then we've got the vertical stabilizer here, and the servo for that is already in that and hooked up with the push rod, and we just got to connect up that to that cable. And we've got the horizontal stabilizer that will just click in place, and then we just attach the push rod to the horn on the elevator. We've got the propeller, we've got the main landing gear, we have got the nose landing gear strut, grub screw just to attach that. I think that's it. For such a large plane, there's not a lot of components. So they say on the box this can take an experienced RC hobbyist as little as 3 minutes to assemble. Might take me 5 to 10, I think, but it's certainly not going to take very long. So I'm going to put in one of my old DSMX receivers and bind my new RadioMaster Boxer radio to it. This is an amazing, compact, lightweight, full power, full range radio that's just going to be really good to just take down to the flying field for some of my foamies and smaller jets. So give me a few minutes and I'll be back with the Ranger all assembled and ready to fly. And here it is, job done. So easy to put together. So to start off with, you take the landing gear front nose wheel strut and you push that through the bottom of the fuselage, and you'll see the end of that come through just in front of the steering servo. What you do then is you take the plastic, almost what looks like a servo arm, and put that on top of that end of the nose gear strut, and use a 10mm bolt to keep that in place. Now it does say in the instructions use a 6mm bolt, but I couldn't get that to bite, so I used a 10mm bolt, and that's definitely held it securely. Then take the mains landing gear, orientate it so that it is raked forward, and slide that into the rear slot of that plastic mount on the bottom of the fuselage, and cover with these two plastic pieces, and use 2 pairs of bolts to secure in place. Attach the tail feathers next, so you take the horizontal stabilizer, place that on top of the rear of the fuselage. Then we take the vertical stabilizer. Make sure you before you can attach it, that you connect up the rudder servo lead to the lead needed to go through to the receiver or to the gyro system. Looks good. And then we use the 2 longest bolts in the pack, hardware pack, to hold those in place. Moving on to the wings. So first step is to put the carbon wing joiner, that tube, through the fuselage. Slide on the wing halves on either side. But while you're doing that, you do need to make sure that the strut connects to the plastic fitting on the side of the fuselage, on either side. Then through the hole in the plastic fitting and through the strut, you use one of these pins. Now I did it from the top with a clip at the front, and then there are 2 bolts on either side underneath the wing to hold the wing halves in place. A small scale detail to add next, that's this little radio antenna. So you'll find a slot on top of the left wing, and you just press the antenna into that and slide it back so it stays in place. The rudder is set up out of the box. The rudder servo is connected to the rudder horn using a push rod, and that's all set up out of the box, nothing to do there. Not the case with the elevator. So before we connect up the push rod, we need to make sure that the elevator is in the neutral position, showing that here with 2 images, and then you need to make sure that the elevator servo is in the neutral position with the arm pointing directly upwards. Now if you've done those 2 things, you will see how long the push rod needs to be. Put it into the put the Z bend of the push rod into the servo arm first, and then modify the length of the push rod by turning in the ball link or unturning it so that it snaps onto the horn on the elevator, and making sure that the elevator stays in that same neutral position. Job done. Fitting the propeller and spinner is the very last step in this very short assembly process. So slide the back plate for the spinner onto the motor shaft first. Then the propeller, push that all the way back, and then the prop nut, tighten that up firmly, and then attach the cone for the spinner itself with a bolt that you might want to Loctite in place tightly, and then you're done. So my receiver in here, velcro down, and all set up on my new RadioMaster Boxer. So you can see if I scroll across to inputs, you can see there that I've got the primary control surfaces, and on a 2 position switch I've got rates on each.
Low rate, high rate.
Really easy to do. Then Scrolling down, I had to add flaps and mode for the reflex stabilization gyro, and that literally took, you know, 2 or 3 minutes to set up. So let's get it down the flying field and get it into the air for the first time. Okay, so here we are down the flying field. I'm down with Jay.
Yep.
And it just happens to be Boxing Day today, day after Christmas.
But it's sunshine.
Lovely sunshine.
Yeah, look at it.
And loads of eating and drinking yesterday, so it's nice to be out, and we're all by ourselves, amazingly. But we're out with the FMS range 1800, as I just showed you, putting it together very easy, and controlling this with the new RadioMaster Boxer radio. And Jay just held it actually and said, fantastic ergonomics this thing has got.
It does feel real. I mean, we both use TX16s, don't we?
This does feel lighter, smaller in the hands, and I know the minor things make big difference on radios, but this does fit in your hands really nicely. Curl your fingers around like that. It does lack some buttons and switches that the TX16 has. It won't do as much, but it's still a really good radio. If you want to spend $100 on a radio or thereabouts, then this is the thing. Okay, so not a lot more to say about this. Let's see how well it flies. I do know, and I will tell you, bigger models fly better. There is a little bit of a breeze today, and we've been flying smaller models earlier. This will fly better, it'll be more stable, I'm expecting.
I have to say, Dom, as well, it's quite good looking for a trainer, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of trainers look a bit boring. This looks quite scale.
Nice bright scheme.
Yeah.
And it turns really tightly with that nose wheel. So I'll use half flap for the takeoff. Here we go. No gyro mode, gyro's off. Woo! Straight up. Flap off. Oh, and that made a huge difference.
It did, didn't it? Just dived off the screen quickly there.
Good grief.
It's a great scheme though, it really is visible in the sky,
Nice,
isn't it?
nice green scheme.
Yeah.
No trim needed. So first pass. See that nose light, Jay?
Yeah.
And you got red light on the left wing tip and green on the left.
No, the nose wheel is quite bright. You can see it quite clearly.
It's come towards you.
And it's a very bright day today as well.
All right, so I'm happy level flight, and it's how it's flying. So let's try some mild aerobatics. So pulling up for a stall turn. Power's quite good. It's not unlimited. Kicking it over the top with the rudder. Half throttle.
Thought you were going for a knife edge then, Dom.
Well, I'm easing myself into it. So 4-point roll that way. Bit of power again. Again, nice. Axial 4-point roll. Jason said knife edge, so we 90 degrees over. Bit of rudder, not a lot of rudder.
It actually does it.
Not a lot of rudder at all, just a smidge. So we'll come back the other way. Look at that.
That's not bad for a trainer, is it, Dom?
Not supposed to do that with a trainer. Inverted. About, yeah, third, just over a third power. Just a tiny bit of down. Let's do a circuit. That's nice. Orientation always a problem when you start flying RC, flying inverted. You pull up, you're going to be in the ground. So, but if you've been doing it a long time, muscle memory,
Lower.
What?
Come on, it's a maiden flight. You should be good.
Thing is, the ground is sloped here.
If this is your first flight with this model, don't attempt what Tom's doing.
That's low enough. I don't want to bin it on the first flight. Yeah, good. We haven't done a loop yet, have we? So a downwind loop, power up, climbing, climbing, climbing. Top of the loop, power off. Nice. We'll do that into wind, it'll probably be even easier. Power, power, power. Over the top, power off.
Nearly a landing.
Well, let's explore the flaps now. So, slowing it down. Half flap. You see it kick up
It does
a little bit
pitch
there.
the nose up a lot, doesn't it?
Pitch the nose up, yeah. That is slow. It's into wind now. You have to look out for the signs of a stall, but that is pretty slow. And you wouldn't need full flap on a day like today with the wind. So we'll just land with half flap. Too much drag with full flap. Oh, that is just superb. That is crazy. And that is not just because it's a high wing trainer, because of its size as well, and the wind and the half flap. Fantastic. So there you go, that's the 1.7 metre Ranger from FMS. There are smaller models in the range, more affordable, but if you can stretch to it, then bigger models would be more stable, more enjoyable to fly, I would say generally. It's always the case. So bigger models fly better. So yeah, look it up. The link for this is in the video description and the pinned comment, as will be the link for the Boxer radio that I was using there. And it does everything that you need to fly this model and other models. If you enjoy our flight test, then please subscribe, click the bell icon for notifications of our future uploads and live streams, and even give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this particular video. Thanks to Jay on camera.
No problem, always a pleasure.
Thank you very much, and we'll be back soon on Essential RC. See you soon, bye. Brilliant.